Hi there. You've made it back to the podcast that must not be named. I'm Luke.
I'm Melissa.
And we are here doing Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Chapter 18, The Weighing of the Wands. This chapter was 25 pages, and that was 3.41% of this book. Benj, take it away.
The morning after the goblet choosing, Harry is met by Hermione, who brings him toast and takes him for a walk around the lake to avoid the whole of the school. She believes him and thinks Ron will too eventually, but Ron is jealous of all the attention Harry already gets. Harry is upset by this because he has never gone looking for attention. It just seems to find him. She then has him let Sirius know because it's better to come from him than his godfather finding out on his own. Classes resume, and as expected, none of the students believe Harry hadn't put his own name in, and all except for the Gryffindors think like Ron, that Harry is just trying to steal some more of the spotlight. Harry is stressed and lonely without Ron, and does very poorly in his classes. During a potions class, Draco shows off a new badge. No, not a spew badge, but support Cedric Diggory, Hogwarts' real champion, and when they're pressed, change to Potter Stinks. After Malfoy tires of insulting Harry, he turns his attention to Hermione, which causes Harry to explode, and the two attack each other. Harry misses and hits Goyle, and Malfoy hits Hermione, causing her front teeth to continue to grow. After being assaulted by Snape, Hermione flees to the hospital wing. Harry is called away for a weighing of the wands. Before the weighing can take place, however, Rita Skeeter, who is there covering the tournament, pulls Harry into a broom closet to ask him personal questions that Harry barely gets a word in for before her quick quotes quill starts furiously going to work. Dumbledore saves Harry from the interrogation for the weighing, which is performed by Ollivander. Fleur's wand contains a hair from her grandmother, Avila. Cedric contains a unicorn tail. Chrome's a dragon heartstring, which was crafted by Grigorovich, but Ollivander refrains from telling the crowd of his knowledge of the history of Harry's wand. That night, Harry gets word from his godfather to be in the common room in the morning of the 22nd, just 2 days before the first task.
All right, a bit of a long chapter, but we did have some new character introductions. Some were named, some were not. But I'm going to kick it off with a large brown owl, one of the Hogwarts owls, I believe.
Yes, because they're available to anyone.
Yeah, which was a neat thing to learn. I'm surprised we hadn't heard of that before.
Right, that was interesting because, I mean, there has to be some way to communicate with your parents if you didn't bring an owl. So it's nice to know that Hogwarts applies them.
Yeah. The largest community of house elves. Maybe the largest, besides like the actual post service, the owl post. Maybe like a large, what's a group of owls called?
It's not a flock, is it?
A parliament of owls. That's right. I've heard that before.
Oh,
a parliament of owls.
That is a fantastic name for a group of somethings.
Especially, yeah, definitely. I like it.
So do they have like a prime minister who cares for them? Like,
oh, I sure hope so.
Or some other like caretaker? Do we call him Prime Minister Hagrid then?
Yeah, I think he's the one from the Tootsie Pop commercials.
Yes, three. Three is the correct answer.
3 licks.
5
is
right out.
4 is too many. 5 is right out.
Then the animator died, and the monster was no more.
And if you don't know what the holy hand grenade is, you need to do a little research.
This is true. Google it.
So who else did we meet this chapter?
Well, we met. We've read things by this person before, but we met Rita Skeeter.
Mm-hmm. Interesting character. I'll just leave it at that for now.
Good.
There was also her accompanying photographer, unnamed.
Okay, let me just point out, though, I gotta talk about this guy for a second. Does he not strike you as, like, the sidekick in every movie of the famous reporter with the camera on his shoulder?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I've got such a Scream thing with Courtney Cox, who's like, hey, camera guy, come over. You know he's gonna die in the scary movie. It's always the cameraman, like, the funny guy in the background who just goes where his plucky reporter wants him to. That's what I picture, because there's not a whole lot to him.
Did April O'Neil from Ninja Turtles have something like that? Because she was a reporter, right?
That is a great question. Probably not.
She was a news reporter, which I remember. in the original comic was apparently a computer.
Fenwick. This was in the movie that came out a few years ago.
Okay.
Played by
Vernon Fenwick. Yeah.
What's
that was
his
in
name?
the 1987 series as well. Director, camera operator whose enormous ego compelled him to scoop April on her stories whenever possible. I was like, I know I'm not making this up. That's from the original cartoon series.
Okay. So in the more recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, he was played by Will Arnett.
Yes, I saw that.
Of Batman Lego fame and Arrested Development and other things. And I had to find that out. I'm sorry. That was very important in the world here at my house. There was a lot of investment in Vern Fenwick. Yeah. Can we start calling the photographer Vern just for fun?
I'm okay with that. Let's, if he ever gets a name.
All in favor.
Oh, aye.
Aye.
All right. Updating the workbook. We should start posting these somewhere. We should make this a thing on our website, which you could go to and check out while I'm writing this.
Which may or may not have some of our workbook pages, at least like our character introductions, like a screenshot of that.
Yeah. Character introductions, location, magicabulary, and probably the chapter superlatives, I think all would be good candidates to be tracking somewhere. You would think 3.5 books into this, we would have considered doing that before now. Hey,
we're not halfway through yet.
Oh, we got plenty of time. That's right. It's very years. This is a very back-end heavy book series, folks. So we're just getting warmed up.
So, moving on. Fleur Delacour's Villa Grandmother.
Yep, was referenced.
Keep in mind, we've been talking for a while, still only on character introductions. And the wand maker, Grigorovich.
Yeah, the wand maker Grigorovich. His style's not quite exactly my taste, but yeah, to each his own.
Let me go with, I'm so excited to find out that there is somebody else who makes wands in this world.
All right.
That it's not just Ollivanders. First of all, there's not a monopoly.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm not saying there can't be higher quality wand makers, but come on.
So, did you see any new locations?
Well, we've been in cupboards before, but this is a new cupboard. It's the broom cupboard off whatever classroom they were randomly in. Ironic that they were in there talking about his parents. And because of his dead parents, he lived in the broom cupboard. He was very comfortable. I'm sure it was fine.
Yeah, I feel like this was almost was more uncomfortable than the cupboard under the stairs at times. This was...
well, the company was safer than the spiders he used to live with. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would say so. A little more invasive. A
bit.
Magicabulary we came across were bouncing bulbs from herbology class, the Potter Stinks badges, several spells. One was the Furnunculus, and one was Dinsogio. Those were the two spells that Harry and Draco flung at each other. I'm assuming flung is the proper term for a hex. You fling a hex.
Do you?
I think you can. I feel like sometimes you swish and fling.
Would you lob it?
I think you could probably lob a... you could lob a curse.
Hurl?
You could hurl a curse.
Hurl a curse? That sounds like a really bad carnival ride.
Hurl a hex. The hurl a hex.
Hurl a hex. No, that's not a carnival ride. That's like the guy with the big wheel that you spin. And if it lands on the right little picture, then you get either $1 million or you lose your tongue.
These are great. Hurl a hex.
Hurl a hex. Man, can somebody draw me that picture?
We also had the Wing of the Wands ceremony.
Yes, we did.
And I'll let you continue with the rest of these.
All right, so we have a couple of items. We have buttons. Yes.
The Potter Stinks badges.
Yeah, the Potter Stinks badges. And we have the quick quill quotes.
Quick quotes
quill. Let me just be really entertained by the fact that she was able to use 3 Q words for a title for something. Like, she sat back and said, when she came up and was like,
Scrabble win right
triple
there.
Bonus points on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I used 3 Qs. That was awesome. We learned about the International Confederation of Wizards Conference, which I feel like we've heard something similar before in book 1. So I think there's something similar in book 1 to that International Confederation of Wizards conference, but I don't, just in Dumbledore's titles, but I don't think it was stated quite the same way.
I think it was the International Confederation of Wizards, not necessarily the conference specifically.
So it's the difference between, the group that you join and the annual meeting that they held.
Right.
Got it. I'm with you. And then Orchideus, the type of plant.
That was the spell that Ollivander uses to make magic come out of Fleur's wand, and it ended up being flowery.
And then the only other one on here, I don't remember where it is.
It's interesting that Orchideus, it has orchid, like the flower in there, but it also has hideous in there, which I thought was very, very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't notice it in the book until I read your note, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, pretty good wordplay there.
Yeah, it was very good. All right, and then what's this last one? I don't remember it.
So Avis, or Avis, is the spell that he uses to make something come out of Crumb's wand. So these were 2 more spells.
Okay. See, I missed those. I was breezing through the weighing part.
It's usually my job to track those, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're good at that. Good job, you.
Thanks. We do, as usual, have an illustration this episode, and
I didn't have it ready.
Looks like
she is hideous.
Just for the record, she sounds hideous. Well, she's got mannish hands, so
what are you wearing? Khakis?
A quick quote
sounds hideous. Jake from State Farm. Oh my goodness.
So it's a picture of our friend Rita Skeeter with her quick quotes quill and the parchment, and her beady little eyes and horn-rimmed glasses, and just looks like someone you don't really want to cross, I think, is the feeling I get from her.
Lovely Rita, meet her, May. No. Sorry, wrong Rita.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say on it. It looks like I picture her. I mean, it fits the description, I think, fairly well.
Well, especially with the really sharp jaw that they talk about, and then the extremely well coiffed curls, and what a juxtaposition those 2 are.
And they also talk about her mannish hands. It's mentioned twice. She has extra large hands, and then later on it says she has mannish hands. So that was something that stood out to me this time going through it.
I do like the 80s throwback of the
shoulder pads. Yep.
Yeah.
And
that's a nice
the high collar as well.
I do like this illustration. Not as well as I liked last chapters, which really added to the aura of the chapter.
Probably more so than I think any we've seen before.
Or at least it hit us right.
Yeah. Yep.
But this one does the illustrator does a good job of getting Rita.
Yep.
That's her.
The look is there. The demeanor is there.
The quill.
Yeah.
I'm not even touching it, but it's deadly. The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah, well done. Alright, so like I said earlier, this was a bit of a long chapter. I felt it was at least. So I have a bunch of notes and you have a bunch of notes. I'll let you start off.
Alright, so we're going to talk about Hermione just knowing that Harry didn't put his name in. Well, of course I knew you didn't do it. The look on your face. Thank goodness that somebody has some common sense around here.
I know, right?
And that's kind of it. Just good job, Hermione, being making it not about you.
Yeah.
So.
And I like that she took that awareness and did something about it too. She realized that, hey, going down to the Great Hall, it's going to be, a zoo for Harry right now, and an emotional just travesty to do so. And so she brings him breakfast. She brings up a bunch of pieces of toast, and it's just man, what a good friend. That's the kind of thing you can't really count on, but when it happens, you're like, man, that's a friend that just gets it,
Yeah, toast.
Oh, yeah, French toast.
Melba toast.
Or, or even Coconogan toast. It's already ready already. Go get yourself a loaf of toast.
Oh, that was an excellent reference. That's a deep, 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 dark reference.
It's already ready already. A loaf of toast. That you just sell loaves of toast, because you just get bread to make toast anyway. Just sell loaves of toast. It's already ready already. I've broken Melissa. Oh, man.
Okay, so let's talk about Harry refusing to ask Ron to use Pig to send his letter to Sirius. I'm not asking him for anything. And I don't, this is going to sound judgy on me, and probably too mom-like, so just know. I agree with Harry completely. I'm not going to ask him. But he sounds kind of like a whiny toddler. Yeah. I'm not going to ask him. Or like a
it's childish.
Elementary school kid. I'm not going to. Okay. No harm, no foul. Go use the school owls. Everyone can use them. No problem. I will distract you with something else. Here we go. Good job momming there, Hermione. But
right, she did. You're right.
Harry at all. And it's just interesting to hear him whine appropriately.
Yeah, it's a bit spiteful, right? You know, because it's like, well, I didn't start this, so I'm not going to be the one that tries to convince somebody. And he says, I'm not going to try to convince him to stop being an idiot or whatever he says. And it's just, and like kind of right along with that, you know, Hedwig is frustrated by this too, and she kind of claws him with her talon as she goes by, and Harry's just like, you know, first Ron and then you. This isn't my fault. Like, I'm like 0 for 2 right now. Like, come on. Good thing I have Hermione keeping everything in check right now.
So 2 for 3. Or 1 for 3, because he got Hermione. That's what it is. I can do sports metaphors, sort of. 1 for 3, because I have Hermione, but nothing else. I'm striking out all over the place.
One thing about the letter itself, I thought it was interesting that Harry wanted to add something about the large weight of anxiety he's been feeling, but then doesn't add that into the letter to Sirius. What are your thoughts on that?
Like, how would you say that? Because
it's such a complicated feeling.
Well, especially so my thinking would be, unless you've had a lot of experience being able to verbalize anxiety, and a lot of people have not, especially at the age of 14, but even grown adults have not. Combine that with the stigma of those sort of, like, not being mentally strong, which is not as bad now as it used to be, but that idea that I have to be mentally strong, people are going to think less of me if I don't. I can see that being incredibly difficult to write. I don't know what I would say in that same situation, because, like, how do you say, I'm drowning from the weight of the pressure of all of this, and it's been 12 hours, and I can't even handle that?
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with your sentiment about it. You know, it takes courage to show that kind of weakness, quote unquote weakness, because it's not really, it's a natural human thing. And he's going through a lot right now, and he's coping okay. I mean, as far as we've seen, like, there's a lot going on, but, and also, like, along with that, it's difficult to even put that on paper. Like, how do you basically, like, be writing a book, being, like, trying to explain things, and, like you said, if you've never been in a position to have to verbalize those kinds of feelings before, you're gonna struggle through it, and it's not gonna be conveyed the way you want it to, which just adds more pressure. Like, it becomes a cyclical thing.
If you can't even say it out loud, and let's be honest, most of the time when you have to do like, express something difficult, you're going to say it to see how it sounds first in order to form your thoughts before you write it down, whether you're saying it out loud or saying it in your head. You have to speak or think the words first. And he can't even do that. Now imagine having to take those half-formed or quarter-formed thoughts and feelings and turn that into sentences that make sense in a way that won't put off too much weakness, but will convey the concern. It's really asking too much. I am not surprised, nor do I blame him for just not including it.
Yeah, and it literally says, he paused at this point, thinking. He had an urge to say something about the large weight of anxiety that seemed to have settled inside his chest since last night, but he couldn't think how to translate this into words, so he simply dipped his quill back into the ink bottle and wrote, "Hope you're okay, and Buckbeak, Harry." Like, yeah, it's exactly what we're kind of saying here, and when you don't know how to say it, I guess just don't say anything. Like, It's kind of counterproductive to even try at that point.
Right.
And he's in Harry's head, he's already asked too much of Sirius, and because Sirius is back or whatever, and that's the opposite of what Harry wanted anyway. So
right.
Harry doesn't do well with other people worrying about him. He doesn't cope well with that.
He doesn't want to be the burden on anybody, but he is perfectly willing to shoulder the burden for other people.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Hagrid's class.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because it looks like you have like a good comment about it, and I have a me comment about it. My comment is, oh, they have to walk the Scroots.
Yeah.
Like, I don't walk animals anyway. That's not kind of my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's throw in my least favorite Fantastic Beast of the Blessed and Screwed, because at the moment, pretty sure that's winning.
I'd say so, from what we've seen. Unless you consider Dementors beasts, a topic for another day.
Yes. I don't like the Scroots. Any ends of them.
Yeah, either or all.
Combining two things I dislike into required education sounds horrific. That would be an excellent detention for me.
Noted.
Okay. That's all.
So the thing I got out of Hagrid's class was, Hagrid just right out believes Harry. He's like, yeah, you say it wasn't you, and I believe you. And Dumbledore doesn't believe it was you and all, and that's just it. This is another one of those strong votes of confidence that Harry's needed. Yeah, the initial reaction, I think Hagrid was kind of stunned, but yeah, as he gets Harry's side of it enough, and Dumbledore backs Harry as well, for Hagrid, that's enough. He doesn't need proof himself. He's okay with just going with the loyal nature that Hagrid has, and that's enough. And maybe at times it's to a fault, but, we know he's right here, and loyalty, I think, pays dividends in the long run, so.
Well, I think Ron could do some, you know what I mean? Like, could take some pointers on that.
I think Ron needs a good conversation with Hagrid.
And maybe his mother.
I mean, we've also seen Hagrid pull this last year when the two boys weren't treating Hermione very well, and he called them out on it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of like I don't know, I guess a slight prediction. Maybe that'd be good for Ron to have a conversation with Hagrid. I mean, like, hey, I know it's tough. Get over yourself a little bit. Like,
right, it's not about you.
I'm sorry that it's never been, but right now it isn't either.
Yeah. I mean, and I get Ron's, like, thing, but, man, somebody needs you.
Yeah.
All right.
So
what else do you have about
go ahead.
classes?
I've got a couple kind of combined ideas here, and it's Justin and Ernie in herbology class, and they're being pretty rough on Harry. Not overly, just kind of playing the ignoring card, which I can be okay with that.
And they're Hufflepuffs.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, it's going to affect them closer than, say, Ravenclaws or even Slytherin. Slytherins are just anti-Gryffindor, but Hufflepuffs feel like they got slighted a bit, and I don't think that's completely unreasonable.
Yeah,
so I get them.
Yep.
But this really harkens back, and it even kind of brings this up in this chapter, to Harry remembering back to his isolated time during year 2. And nevertheless, it was lonely, with dislike pouring in on him from all sides. And he's kind of this inner monologue talking about how, if he just had Ron here, it would be that much easier, which I think he's absolutely right, because in that time in year 2, when something I've mentioned a few times, this fickle student body, they're pretty quick to hate on the celebrity, as Snape would say. And this, I think, just fits that really well. And Ernie and Justin were on the same side of that last time.
Like, they're not ones that, man, do they seem like Cubs fans or what? Like I'm only going to be fans, maybe not Cubs fans, because they're pretty loyal, but
they're very loyal, overly loyal.
Okay. I apologize.
More like Royals fans. Let's call them Royals fans.
Yes.
Sorry, Royals fans.
I love you when you're good, and I don't talk about you, and I don't even acknowledge your existence when you're bad.
We're calling you out, Royals fans.
And I can't believe I apologized to Cubs fans. So
I was living there in 2011 and 12 when they were literally like paying people to go to the stadium. I remember. I was there.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm stuck on the fact that I apologize to Cubs fans. I can't let it go. That's so hard. Okay.
Regroup.
I know. I mean, when do pitchers and catchers report? It's got to be soon. Just a few more weeks, I'm sure.
Very soon.
I know. I'm very excited. Okay. So yeah, the difference then though, like I get why Justin and Ernie, I'm with them. Slytherin, I'll take any excuse. But I think this is harder. One, because he had, like, I mean, I guess he has Gryffindors on his side for the most part. Unlike with the Chamber of Secrets, when even they were kind of against him, except for
the twins.
I was going to say that. Yes, except for the twins.
Heir of Slytherin coming through. Watch out! one of the best scenes in that book.
Yes. Which the book grew on me.
It's a good book. It's a good one.
Not a terrible book anymore. So he has all the Gryffindors, but he's lacking his support system.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Ron.
Yep. That's and that means a lot, and because that is his person, and that is literally the support he doesn't have. He's not completely alone, but he feels more alone now than I feel like that's really been the theme of the last chapter and a half, right? And it just is continuing here. Hermione's doing her best, and she's being very sympathetic and empathetic about it. For Harry at this point, it's still so fresh. It's still just not enough,
right?
Unfortunately. But I don't think he's being rude or anything to Hermione because, he's not like snapping at her or anything, which is good. That's healthy.
No, he's just lonely.
Yeah. So then we have the scene where Hermione gets hit with, let's say Draco can't let things go and has to be hyper-focused on Harry at all times. And they get into a little bit of a bickering, and Draco drops the M-bomb, the mudblood word, and then they curse each other, but they don't actually. It actually hits Goyle, I believe, and it hits Hermione. Mm-hmm. And Snape sees her gigantic beaver teeth and says, "Oh, she doesn't look any different." And you just gotta love Snape. He's just such a great character. No, he's awful.
So I try really hard to not jump on the Luke's bandwagon of Snape and why he's literally the worst. But this moment is his worst moment.
This is bad. I think. This is pretty bad.
At least as far as I can remember up to this point in the series. He did call Hermione an insufferable know-it-all. Book 3.
Yeah.
But so has everyone.
Not a big deal.
Right.
It's kind of too true.
She is a know-it-all. Maybe not insufferable, but she is a know-it-all.
It's like a Draco insult. It's almost too true to be upset about it at times.
What is it that our brother Benji says? Technically correct is the best kind of correct.
Which is the best kind of being correct.
But this is not, this is just mean. And about a teenage girl's looks, that's borderline.
It's shallow.
Well, I'm thinking that's your job. You know what I mean? That can cross into that's walking a line.
Mm-hmm. Another kind of interesting outcome of this is Ron and Harry accidentally being allies for a minute before they realize it. And then Ron kind of just goes and does his own thing with Dean and Seamus or whatever. But Harry sits there wishing he knew how to use the Cruciatus curse. That's a little harsh, but I get the sentiment.
It's also the fallout of what happens when you teach 14-year-old curses.
Yeah. You ready to talk about Rita Skeeter?
Hold on. I have to find my center.
So we have Colin Creevey showing up in Snape's class, which was great. I loved Colin showing up and basically taking Harry out of the class. He's like, no, he's brilliant. He has to go. He's supposed to take his things with him.
I'm so sorry, Professor. Dumbledore said
it's for photographs, and Harry was like, "You literally say the worst thing. You always say literally the worst thing. Please don't." But Colin does kind of save the day here a bit. I feel like lucky timing.
Yes.
And they go up and Harry meets Rita Skeeter. Take it away. Take it away, Ern.
Take it away, Ern. Honestly, for a chapter that has Professor Snape's worst moment so far, she's my least favorite in the chapter.
She's pretty appalling.
She beats Snape. Let's just talk about the fact that she pulled a 14-year-old into a broom cupboard unsupervised. So that could take it into a whole other place that I'm not going to go in a family-friendly podcast.
Sure. Definitely crossing some boundaries that probably shouldn't be.
Of inappropriateness.
Yes. Certainly inappropriate.
Yes. So, number one, the fact that she's asking him about things that have nothing to do with anything with the tournament, like, would your parents be proud of you? Who knows? They've been dead.
I was 15 months old. 15.
Dead.
15 months old. They've
I don't
been
know.
dead
I'm
the whole
super
time.
dead. Like, dead. I'm really dead. Dead. They
Sounds
don't
like
know.
his divination homework from a couple months ago.
Right.
And then I was dead again. I was still dead.
It's like the line from Hamilton when they're arguing about supporting France. And Hamilton says, "What? We have a treaty with King Louis. We may get the basket, pull up his head. King Louis's head. Do you want help?" And the head says, "I don't know. I'm super dead. Like, how can I have a treaty with dead guy?" It takes more explanation. It's not so funny that way, but in the moment, it's really funny.
I get it.
Okay. So I just want to jump right to them coming out of the closet.
Okay.
Literally, not figuratively.
Yeah.
And Dumbledore, who finds them so expertly and delicately in the very best, in my favorite way of talking to people who are wrong, in that you're so kind and wonderful to them that they're almost apologizing to you when you're doing nothing but really insulting them to their face with the very best of, tones. He calls her rude.
Mm-hmm.
Actually says, "Oh, I'm sure you have good reasons for your rudeness," or something like that. It's just so nice that he's calm and polite and lovely and calling her out on her, I need a better word, on her, abrasiveness and brashness and lies.
Yeah, and so because she starts it with, "I hope you saw my piece over the summer about the International Confederation of Wizards Conference." And he compliments her with enchantingly nasty. Because that's exactly what she seems to be, is a gossip or tabloid writer, which you're just trying to elicit some kind of vitriol or strong emotional response as opposed to worrying about details and facts. That's what I think we're supposed to get from this.
Keep going, because I think he literally calls her rude in the next sentence.
Yeah, no, I'm working on it. And he goes, "I particularly enjoyed your description of me as an obsolete dingbat. Rita Skeeter didn't look remotely abashed. I was just making the point that some of your ideas are a little old-fashioned, Dumbledore, and that many wizards on the street, I will be delighted to hear the reasoning behind the rudeness, Rita."
There it is.
But I'm afraid we'll have to discuss the matter later.
"I would be delighted to hear the reasoning for your rudeness."
Yeah, that's just great.
I feel like that's a line I just need to keep in my back pocket at my job.
Yeah, I think you should. I would love to hear why you're being so rude, but we don't have time for that right now. We can revisit later.
I'm available at recess or after school.
Yeah, just Dumbledore him a bit.
Yeah, it's nuts. Okay.
More people just need to hold the Dumbledore.
Aw. Hodor. Okay.
But yeah, that was an interesting exchange. And I don't really want to touch too much on more of what Rita Skeeter was doing, but it's, tabloidy, gossip, rumor mill, just to get a lot of publicity. And facts don't really matter. And that's frustrating.
It's whose line is it anyway? Right.
Just be loud and have people hear you.
What is it? What was the line? Whose line anyway? Where everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Yep, exactly.
That's how Rita Skeeter writes. Everything's made up and the truth doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So let's talk about the wands.
Yeah, I love this part.
Who knew you were supposed to polish your wands on a regular basis?
Right? I mean, I feel like there should have been a wand care manual that came with the wand at least, right?
Well, so my thought was, who knows? Probably people with parents.
Ooh.
Oh, too soon?
I mean, it's been 13 years. I think he's
3.5 since he got the wand.
That's true.
But I mean, think about it. Your parent would, of course, teach you how to do that. Oh,
yeah,
you get
that would be a natural.
Let me show you. Oh, you get
wizarding
let me
life
teach
thing.
you how to. He doesn't have that.
Yeah, he does not. I wonder if Ron does, or any of the Weasleys other than Percy.
Other than Percy, maybe Ginny.
Bill, maybe.
I was going to say that.
Bill and Charlie's they've got their stuff together. They're responsible.
At the moment, maybe they weren't when they were 14.
I was gonna say as young adults, like.
There you go. So yeah, like kids, polish your wands.
Yep.
And then part of me also wonders, do you think Cedric knew about the weighing of the wands? Like somehow Harry missed that memo?
I feel like he would have. He seems like the kind of person who would, hey, I'm champion. Like, let me do a mild bit of research as to what my responsibilities might be. Mm-hmm. And this would probably be in there. I mean, it's literally called the weighing of the wands ceremony. Like, it's kind of a thing.
Well, and Harry didn't choose to be in this. Harry didn't really sign up for it. He didn't, you know what I mean? Like, this could have all been stuff that they looked at ahead of time and they knew. And then they got chosen and that just, so let's get started. And Harry's still walking around in a daze like, what in all of creation just happened to me? I have no idea.
To kind of go along with the point that we kind of jokingly just made, that you made, was we saw how almost all of the students reacted with such excitement when they first found out about the Triwizard Tournament, right? The twins are like, you're joking, right? I mean, they know what he's talking about. Right. Growing up in a wizarding family, being exposed to wizarding history and culture, this might just be a well-known thing that Harry doesn't have his one resource on that right now. I mean, Ron is the wizarding... Parents. Well, that and Ron is his wizarding culture exposure team member. Hermione can read it in a book, but there are more important things that she usually picks up. This is not something that she would maybe think of to even tell him. Where Ron would just be like,
hadn't been happening for the last 100 years.
Right. But like, it sounded like everyone still knew what it was, kind of thing.
Right. I'm saying it doesn't sound like information that if Hermione had read about in Hogwarts history, she would have felt she needed to impart upon the boys, since it wasn't something that was likely going to happen.
It was not, a reasonable assumption that they'd be pulled into it.
Plus, they could just read the book themselves.
Well, she did say that she read the sections on this because she gave the numbers of how many people had, died, or like two of the judges had died in a certain year. And
I absolutely believe she had read it. I just don't believe she ever thought she would have to share that information with them.
Right. And even to go along with that, this is something I think, to put it not so delicately, is Ron's level of awareness. You know what I mean? Like, she'd be looking more at the overall scope and overall facts of it and the interesting things, where he'd be more looking at a bit of the mundane details. This is not a mundane detail, Michael. And this is the kind of thing that Ron would have had more probability of bringing up in conversation, it feels like to me.
But instead, no one talked about it.
We digress. Harry didn't know. Cedric, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say they all knew.
All right. Let's talk about Vila hair.
Yeah, that was, I thought, pretty interesting. Obviously, wand lore is something I am typically, my magic radar goes off a bit. And I liked that Ollivander kind of gave us a little bit of feeling that the different cores seem to have different characteristics a bit. And
or at least that Vila hair is temperamental.
Right. And which I guess makes me think that maybe it would kind of be that way in general. And looking back at when Ollivander told Harry about his parents' wands, he gave them certain descriptions. He's like, oh, this one was good for charms. This one was, good for transfiguration. Or I don't remember exactly what they were, but apparently they have their own strengths and weaknesses potentially. And I think that's pretty interesting. And the fact that it's her own grandmother's Vila hair, confirming, yes, she is at least part Vila, is pretty interesting. At least a quarter at this point.
Can Vila be male?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know.
Just hit me.
Yeah, no,
Okay, next. What else you got? Research.
Not in there.
Oh. He pulled out the definitive guide on Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, and Vila were not in there.
Let's check another version of it.
Okay.
Because I think they qualify as beings, so they won't necessarily show up in here.
Right.
Yep, it goes from troll to unicorn to wampus cat to werewolf to winged horse to yeti. So, no Vila. So, I think it qualifies as a being as opposed to a beast.
Okay.
And
all right.
So right along with it, it's cool that we kind of revisit Harry's trip to Ollivanders, and Harry kind of remembers back to, like, it was kind of weird, right? Like, it was neat, and I still don't know if I really like this guy. Like, he's kind of an odd duck, and Harry's perspective on it, I think, is interesting. 3.5 years later, what did you think of it?
I think it's really nice to have a reminder of who Ollivander really is. And it also brings back oh yeah, there's something special about my wand. Oh right, it's not just a wand. I remember, but I like my wand, so it's fine. Don't talk about it. It's like Fight Club.
And he's kind of like thankful that, Ollivander doesn't drop the wand connection with Voldemort, like the Phoenix Feather thing. He's like, he had a funny feeling Rita Skeeter's quick quotes quill might just explode with excitement if he did.
Oh God, could you imagine?
That'd be about the worst thing.
I can't.
Right then.
That'd be horrible. All right, so let's talk about that night and up in the Gryffindor Tower.
Yeah.
So Harry and Ron have an interaction with actual words shared.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Ron's like, you got an owl and we had our detentions. And then Ron left, right? And the way Harry, I'm going to use the word responds, but I don't mean responds like speaks back, but just thinks and feels about Ron as Ron leaves is he wasn't sure whether he wanted to talk to him or hit him. Both seem quite appealing.
Mm-hmm.
That idea of, I'm so mad at you, but I miss you so much that, like, I need you to be my friend, but I need you to know how mad I am at you for betraying me. All at the same time, but I have no words to actually express that or that I even understand it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It was just such a good way of explaining that. I wasn't sure whether he wanted to talk to him or hit him, and both seemed great.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like the first real strain on their relationship, right?
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know. It's a tough spot, and there's so many emotions that Harry has going on in general right now, just because of the nature of life right now.
Uh-huh.
At least he's kind of taking the do nothing route, which is probably responsible. He's not adding on top of it by actually going over and hitting him. I don't feel like that would bring them closer together again.
I know. I remember being really worried the first time I read this, like, oh no, please, like, don't lose Ron, because it is very possible to lose your friends throughout the course between the ages of 11 and whenever the series ends, when they're 17, 18 or whatever. So friendships do change and grow. So it's not, and I was like, it was very, like, it hit me like, oh man, this is going to be bad.
So at least they're kind of letting cooler heads prevail just by the do nothing option. The do nothing option. Engage as little as possible.
I'm a big fan of that one. And we know Harry tends to do that. That's how he interacts with adults when they're discussing things that he's like, And we know that's how he tries to deal with Malfoy, the, like, avoid.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And we get a response from Sirius here. And kind of the crux of it is, we need to talk face to face. Can you ensure that you are alone by the fire in Gryffindor Tower, at 1 a.m. on this upcoming night? And what? Like, I don't know.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
I will have thoughts in a little while on that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I found that to be pretty interesting, and this was a long chapter.
Truth.
Okay, speaking of getting back to that, and probably some other things that we've maybe glossed over, because we've got 5 burning questions to get through.
We do. Here we go. Question 1. Is it reasonable for Ron to be a bit jealous that it's Harry again?
I think so. I mean, I get it. There have been so many things that, and I don't even know if he's so mad specifically at Harry. I don't know, maybe here he is because he thinks Harry put his name in, or he's just refusing to even consider the fact that he didn't. But we know, when Ron looked into the mirror of Erised, right? I mean, the one thing, his heart's true desire is to be even viewed as an equal to his brothers. And Hermione kind of points that out. It's like, with all those brothers that he's got, all of them do really well. I mean, even the goof-offs are incredibly talented and people love them. Harry's kind of unknowingly made Ron a sidekick in Ron's mind. Ron feels like he will always just be able to be the sidekick, and this is just like a whole lot thrown on top of that series of feelings. So I don't like it, but I can definitely see where he's coming from.
I don't mind it. I think it's reasonable for him to feel that way. And to quote somebody very wise, feelings are neither right nor wrong. That was from my mom. But it's what you do with those feelings. I think it's absolutely reasonable and justified for him to be jealous. I think the way he's treating Harry, because it's not Harry's fault that he's feeling jealous. But I think the problem with their relationship right now is that Harry is feeling betrayed and overwhelmed and a million things about what's happening to him that he doesn't have the time or the energy to be empathetic towards Ron's jealousy.
Right.
And Ron, who is so jealous and so also feeling a bit betrayed and just sad and probably left out, doesn't have the time or the energy to be empathetic towards Harry's overwhelmedness. And when both people are at that, like, full to the brim feeling and don't have room for other people's, that's where the conflict occurs.
Yeah,
and it makes me sad for both of them.
Yeah, it's that abrasive middle ground between them that there's just no way to get through at this point. And it's unfortunate. And I think they're almost going through, like you very well said, they almost have identical things going on, and some are exact opposite things going on, right? Harry's got way too much going on and feels like he just doesn't want to be a part of this, and Ron feels like, well, I don't want to be left out, like you had very well put. But it all leads to the same exact kind of set of emotions that are abrasive and dangerous against each other. So it stinks.
Yes. All right. Question 2. I want to take a bet with you.
Okay.
So Malfoy was taking bets on how long Harry is going to last in the tournament. What do you think? How long is he going to last?
Oh, well, we know they went through and tried to make sure that the tasks weren't too overly dangerous to be fatal is what we were led to believe. So I think he'll make it all the way through. I don't think he's going to do very well, but I don't think he's going to be killed or anything.
Well, Malfoy gives him 10 minutes into the first task.
Yeah, and he would.
I say I'm going to double that.
20 minutes into the first task?
20 minutes. I'm not saying he's going to die, but that might be like, I'm out. I quit. Like, he's just done.
Just raises his white flag wand. Yes. Get me out of here.
I'm out. I quit. I fail. That's what I think.
Okay.
All right. Question 3. Who created the Potter Stinks buttons?
Someone in Slytherin. At Malfoy's request. I don't think... You think it was a Hufflepuff?
I think we're supposed to believe it's Slytherin, but it doesn't have to be. People are really mad at Potter.
I feel like it would have been mentioned in Herbology, though, because Justin and Ernie probably would have had them. I'm not disagreeing with you. And maybe
it showed up
in
first
front
with
of
Slytherin,
him,
so
maybe it was, and just they're maybe a little less competent in their hate against him, so they wouldn't brazenly wear it in front of him, but they could still have them.
Well, and I'm wondering, maybe Hufflepuffs created, the button that said support Cedric Diggory, and then Slytherin's got them and modified them.
I feel like that's a highly probable situation.
There we go. I'm going with that. Okay. Question 4. How does a quick quotes quill work?
This is an interesting bit of magic, right? I mean, it kind of takes what I'll say reporter hears, and
you heard the air quotes there, right?
Yeah, what I'll call a reporter, the interviewer. I think that's a mild enough term, and kind of it almost seems like it has a telepathic connection to what that person is getting out of the conversation.
Okay, so I kind of assumed that, this is what I'm really thinking, but I'm going to use nice words and then I'm going to write that down. But why would Rita filter her voice and not what's being written blatantly in front of them? So, unless most of the time people aren't reading what she's writing.
Probably. I would think so. It's
So
a tight
maybe
broom
that's
cupboard.
it. But the example we get immediately is when she tests it out and she speaks, "My name is Rita Skeeter, Daily Prophet reporter." And the quick quotes quill writes, "Attractive blonde Rita Skeeter, 43, whose savage quill has punctured many inflated reputations." Go with me on this. If the quill has some sort of mental link to let's write it as savagely as she's actually thinking, why would Rita Skeeter reveal her age? That's stereotypically, not everybody, but stereotypically, like,
Protected information.
women of a certain personality aren't going to reveal how old they are. And maybe I'm projecting, but I would assume Rita would not voluntarily give up an age of over 28-ish.
I get that.
That's where my question really, yes, I get how, but like, really, where does the words, those harsh words, are they directly Rita's, or is it some other magic enhancement on top of her? I'm thinking these evil things and then I'm going to step it up even more. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Or like something else I was kind of thinking is it still has a bit of that connection, right? Because it kind of has to be flowing from the person magically somehow. But what if it's a little bit like when you're on your phone and you're starting a message and it has like the next guess word that you use most commonly, and so it's like kind of doing that
predictive text.
Yeah, predictive texting, and it's kind of listening in, and it's like, okay, well, I hear these keywords, and these are the things that she would probably write. And then she just goes through and edits later. And
like, the more you use it, the more adaptive it becomes.
It learns your behavior.
Your style. See, that, or my other thought is this. I've had a weather app in the past that was a little raunchy, if you will, and it had like a high, medium, and a low setting. So that when you would open up your app, if it was a sunny day, it might say like on the low setting, be like, "Oh, it's a nice sunny day. Enjoy your outside." And the medium app might be like, "Oh, look, the sun is shining again. Well, that's just bleeping fantastic." And then if you set it on high, it's like the bleeping bleepity bleepity bleep. Blippity blippity bleep. It's sunny.
That's funny.
So I wonder if maybe there's like a snark setting on the
I'd say so.
Quill. Like a low setting where you dictate directly what it's heard.
Mm-hmm. It's the scribe setting, right?
Yeah, a medium setting where it takes it, and maybe the medium setting is more of the predictive, like you were talking about, and the high setting is like Chandler Bing level snark. I don't know. So,
well, there's scribe level, there's journalist level, there's editorial level, and then there's tabloid gossip level, which is
literally
a bit of how it feels.
Yes,
and then this is a little bit even on top of that because this is defamation. Like, this is just
like
awful.
Maybe she added her own enhanced charm.
She went into the coding
already.
Yeah,
she did.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I think.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, all right, here we go. Question number, I don't know what we are on, 5. Oh, because we have 5 burning questions. Here we go. How is Sirius going to talk face to face to Harry while Harry is still in the Gryffindor common room?
Maybe they have Google Hangouts.
Technology doesn't work at Hogwarts.
Well, we haven't actually seen it tested. We're going by an archaic book.
24 years ago.
We're going by an archaic book that Hermione has read. Nobody else has read the fine lines of Hogwarts: A History.
Hold on, this book was set 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It just hit me. I'm sorry. I'm feeling old. Okay.
So only Hermione has read Hogwarts: A History. No one else has actually deigned to go through and read it. So we're going off of Hermione, which has been over and over proven to be highly, highly reliable. That doesn't mean the book is reliable. We haven't seen this theory tested that technology doesn't work at Hogwarts. Come on. We know watches seem to work.
I'm going with he snuck in once in third year, and there's no Dementors.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be easy. He's just gonna walk right in.
Walk right in.
Yeah, okay, that's more plausible.
Hey Harry, make sure you open the door to the portrait door so I can sneak in. No worries.
All right, so let's get into our chapter superlatives, and we're going to talk about our favorite lines. Melissa, kick us off here.
My favorite line, I have not got tears in my eyes, said Harry loudly.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
Because it sums up the entire conversation with Rita Skeeter.
Yeah, entirely. And it's just like, okay, now before it was like, okay, this is weird. Like, it's saying things that are different, and okay, this is, like, it's not quite true. Like, this is just blatantly wrong. And I don't like what this is doing. Not that Harry cares about his public image too much, but this is kind of like, I don't know, just a hit on him. And that's not okay, especially because it's about his parents. Like, he's grown up without them, and this is a touchy subject. So guess what? You're on the not cool list right now. Like, that's not cool.
And at the end of the day, like, it's one thing for you to talk about me, but it's another thing for you to lie on me.
Right. Yeah, this is libel. Yeah, good point.
Okay, how about yours?
So this is when they're talking about the summoning charm, and it says, Hermione had good luck with it, and, quote, she had been making objects zoom across the room to her all lesson, as though she were some sort of weird magnet for board dusters, waste paper baskets, and lunoscopes. I just think that's kind of a silly, way of describing what the summoning charm would look like for someone who's doing it really well, right? It's like, oh, things are just flying at me because it's so effortless for her.
It's a weird X-Men character.
The not Magneto, but just like everything else-o.
Yes.
So, let's get to our favorite characters. Melissa, who are you going to crown the chapter MVP?
Hermione.
100% agree.
Yep. Yeah, toast.
Yeah, toast. It's already ready already.
Exactly. I really think she gets points for being reasonable, calm, a good friend, and like supporting her friend, knowing her friend needs her more than whatever she may or may not be feeling. Yep. Nope. She went hands down. Not even a question this time.
Not even a question. And so, yeah, the toast for sure. She brings perspective to Harry about how Ron's feeling, which is good because he was confused, right? I mean, and this at least gives some perspective as to why he doesn't have his person. And then she also kind of gives him the idea you should talk to Sirius. Like, that's kind of who you need to talk to right now. And because I don't think he would have thought of that necessarily. So, very, very strong Hermione chapter. My honorable mention is going to go to Colin Creevey. I just really liked how he walked into Snape's class, and he's a bit annoying as they leave the room or whatever, but he was given a job, and by golly, he completed that task, right? I mean, Mr. Ludo Bagman sends him in there, and to go face to face with Snape when Snape's already in a tizzy, and he gets the job done. Nice on you, Colin.
Good job. Hey, so I think that wraps us up for tonight.
Sure does.
We are in a variety of places and spaces, most of them social. You can find us on Twitter at NotNamedPodcast. We have an email at thepodcastthat@gmail.com. One of my favorite places you can go is our website, thepodcastthat.com, where we have this show and our whole family of shows at the Podcast That family, including the podcast that floats down here, our Stephen King reread of the novel It, and the podcast that drinks and knows things, which is working on seasons 6 and 7, right around that of Game of Thrones, and they are gearing up for the new release of season 8. Everybody's getting super excited about that. So go ahead and go to our website and check that out. Spoiler alert for all of you. They are not family friendly like the show is. So sorry, kids, just for parents. And also on the podcastthat.com, you can go to our support us page with a variety of ways that you can show all the love you have for our show by clicking on any of those links. My favorite one would be the Patreon link. You can also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/stayimaginary, where you can join our imaginary legion of supporters and get a wide variety of special things, including early access to our unrestricted sections for book 4. They are exclusively on Patreon. You can go there now and check out our old unrestricted sections from earlier in this book. They are available now for you to listen to, but if you want to hear them when they first appear, Patreon members get exclusive early access to those.
So after you do that, be sure to subscribe, like, and rate, and leave comments for us on iTunes and or YouTube. We truly appreciate it. We put all of our episodes up on YouTube. We're, to spill the beans a little bit, considering doing more live stream opportunities on the YouTube channel here coming up soon. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to go over to that YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can be told whenever those episodes come out. And you'll get the notification of when we go live, because that's not planned yet, so we can't tell you yet. But you can also listen to this not named podcast on Radio Public. It is free, and it is easy to use, and it does help listeners like you find and support shows like ours. It's very nice because they actually pay us content creators for the number of listens and for new listeners. So it truly is a free way for you to support our shows. And when you listen to our show on Radio Public's Android or iOS app, everyone benefits.
I will say, I now only listen to podcasts on my Radio Public app, and I have never spent a dime on it. But I know that by listening to all of my favorite podcasts through Radio Public, I am supporting each and every one of those podcasters.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, not even just our shows. I mean, most of the big podcasts are out there now. And if you don't have, the $1 a month, the $10 a month to join Patreon or whatever, this is a way you can listen to the same thing you've been getting, knowing that those content creators are being supported just for you listening on that platform. So it's very, very creator friendly. It's very, very friendly to the listener as well.
I personally love their queue section of their app. I like that better than even what I used to listen to podcasts on, that I can put all of the podcasts I want in my queue and even switch them around in the order that I want them so that I know that I'm listening to what I want in the order that I want them. Mm-hmm. And it just plays for me when I open up the app and hit go.
Absolutely.
So after we've told you lots of things, it was a long chapter. It was a long episode. That's all right. It was worth it. We're going to talk to you again next week when we talk about chapter number 19.
The Hungarian Horntail. Stay imaginary.
Thanks.